Hello, this is Noah Lee, and I'm recording for EGR425 for, I believe this is assignment 3 for the two-player BLE game. So the result that I ended up coming up with is essentially a riff on Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is essentially an asymmetrical knowledge game where one person has a rule book and the other person has a game that they're playing. Maybe it's like a wire cutting or pattern matching or some kind of order or code entry. That is essentially what I've done here. As you can see, this is a ripoff because our game is continue communicating and everyone is safe. So obviously, very different game, but either way, I can launch on these guys, and then I'll start from host to display this. So first we have, so in this case, this device is playing as the client, or excuse me, as the host. So they have the knowledge book. The other user has the display screen. So the client is given sun, junction, arrow, block. So at a guess, I'm gonna take actually Raymond did the hints for this one and this game. So sun, junction, arrow, block. I'm gonna say sun, junction, arrow, block. Sweet. So after that one, we display an intermission screen showing client and the information there. In this case, we have a maze game. So the host would see this and not know where the client is. They just see where the client cannot pass through. And then the client user sees the UI and themselves, the goal, and then the buttons to control themselves. In this case, it's just a straight across. Past that, so again, we have who the user is, what the game was, result, lives, and then wins. And then we'll see if we can get some of the other games here. So I'll probably just speed through a couple of these. There we go. Ooh. Oh, right. I forgot that I did this one. I forgot about the code here. So this is the code game. So same thing. The host has their set of hints, and then the client has just the keypad. So in this case, I need to decipher what these are. So I forgot what this code was. It confused me because I forgot about the previous one. So corners on a circle is 0. On the triangle 3, square has 4 corners. Octagon is 8, and then 3, 0, and 4 should be the code. Yay! And then because that's 5, it's going to display the win screen. So you won, yay! And horribly flashing and goofy little confetti. I think that I actually had this was done, or at least the confetti was done through I had Copilot, or actually in this case it was AI, just write this just to handle that. And unfortunately, because of the fact that I think that these two devices run at ever so slightly different frequencies, if I tap continue, they won't get the same screen. They do actually. I got it right. So normally the intention would be that you would reset at this point to have the puzzles restart. But I'm gonna just jump through a couple of these until we find a puzzle that I haven't shown yet. There should be one more game, the wire game. So I'll try and get that one. So just see me solving these. I'm proud of this one. I think this is a good puzzle. So square root of 25 is 5, 3 cubed is 9, 0 to anything is 0, and then 27 divided by 9 is 3. There we go. There we go. Yay. And I know this puzzle as well. This was a good one. So this is wire game. Same concept. The host has a hint, and then the client sees some wires and their colors. So in this case, the solution for this one is to count the letters in each color of the wires, then use these numbers and these wires, that's probably confusing, I'm sorry, to determine where it is. So in this case, we have the number of letters in wire 4 times the number of letters in wire 5. So red, that's going to be 3 times 3 is 9. Then minus 6 is 0. Then minus 6 is 3. Minus 3 is 0. And then plus, so 9. 6 was, sorry, I have that wrong. Excuse me, I just started math normally. So 4 times 5 is 3 times 3. Then in number 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So blue. which is 4. So we have, I'm opening a calculator. 9 minus 4. We have 5. And then in number 3 is white, which is minus 5. Again, we have 0. Then plus 1 is purple, BRPLE. So that's 6. Cut the wire in position 6, which is blue. And yay! So there's wire again. That's all. That's all of the games. Essentially, it's the same kind of puzzles. It just randomizes, and then I'll quickly try and show the failure screen that I also had. So I'm just going to purposely fail a bunch of these to try and pull up the failure screen. So this should display the failure screen, I think. Yep, there's failure. It's pretty much the exact same concept as the windscreen. Just use different symbols to say, hey, you failed. Oh well. And I'm not sure there's a continuation. Is there? Oh, there is. Neat. But anyway, there's the game. That's the visuals. I'll go ahead and show the code real quick. So transitioning over to Visual Studio, I can see if I can pull up all the communication here. So starting from the server, this is what the server saw. So that was the yellow core 2 that was on the left. From here, we wait for Bluetooth to communicate. And then I'm proud of the way that I did this. So because I have 2 devices and I didn't want one of them to communicate the game rules, I opted to go with it being synced through SRAM. The way to do that is what gave me a lot of trouble. So what I ended up doing is having the host set its random when host or join is selected, or when it selects host, and then the host sends that random value over BLE to the client, which receives it and then sets it to their random and then just acts that. So that should be up in the top of main here. So here, the if it's not client, it's server. It sets random C to be milliseconds, and then sends that over communication. This is handled similarly, where through heartbeat check data. If not client, we send the random value and then swap between A and B so that the data doesn't get stale on the host side. For the host, if the data starts with an A or B, it's the only time it ever is going to start with one of those. We extract the RAND seed after the A or B, set that seed RAND serial print, and then communicate that it received SRAND. Then the host just waits for that to be acknowledged before continuing with the rest of the code. That's essentially all that happens there. But so far as the actual code goes, after seeding RAND with the milliseconds, we pick one of the 4 games. Then I wrapped a function to handle calling all of the games individually. But I jump down to where game sync happens. The result is based off of the launch game, and this, difficultly enough, actually passes the function to the function to then determine which function to call. So each of my games has their entry point as launching the game, which is passed in here, again, from RAM sync up here, and then this is coded just to handle the end of the game. So game logic is handled here, and then as the client or server, the server just waits after the game ends to then display the intermission. Otherwise, the client awaits completion and then sends the result as win or lose to then display the final code, or to display the intermission to screen. Sorry, that was a lot. Essentially, it's just start the game, host sees the hint, client sees the game, the host then waits to receive that data. The client sends it when it completes the game, display intermission, and then repeat for however many lives it is. That's all the game was. And then individually for all of the games, Maze Game uses a block to just show where there are blockers or where there's a block, where there is a pass through. From there, the logic is just checking wherever the position is that the client is on. If they ever end up at that position, then it ends the game, says you fail. If they reach the position of the goal, it's a success. All the games are very similar. I started with wire game, where it's just some set of wires, the number of wires, and which wire is correct, followed by the hint. Then this is displayed very simply here. We just use the number of wires, change the spacing for the touch within each wire. If it's within the position and it is the correct wire, return that. Otherwise, return the failure. Client just gets that displayed simply in the middle of the screen with game helpers. And everything else is very similar to code game, simple a numpad, updating there, same thing. This is the solution and the code. For button game, also very similar. We have the order that they're pressed and then the code, and that's pretty much everything for that. Other than that, that is everything for the game. This was fun, this was fun to work on after I got a lot of the base stuff going. The hardest part was getting the handler to work. This is what I actually used the bulk of AI logic for, because this was the painful part, is getting that communication to sync. Other than that, everything ended up falling into place after wire game was figured out, after I determined I can just hard code everything, which is so much easier and just set a couple and good enough. But other than that, that's the whole project. Thank you very much. I'll call you here. I'm presenting for both myself and Raymond, but that's everything. So thanks very much and bye.